All right, so we're going to take a look at how to use double angle identities. Okay, so these are the steps that you'll use, same as before for addition. All right, so you're given this, and here's your restriction between 90 and 180. So that's going to tell you how to draw your triangle. So remember, your reference angle is always closest to the x-axis. All right, so use SOHCAHTOA to label it. So sine is O and H, so the top one is O, the bottom's H, so O and H. And then another one's adjacent, and you have to find that out, right? So 5 squared minus 3 squared is equal to a squared by the Pythagorean theorem. So you're going to get a is equal to 4. Now, once you know that, you can use that to fill in everything else. So we did 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're now using 5. All right, so what's sine? Well, let's find out where it's positive and where it's negative. So we know that all students take calculus. And we're in the second quadrant, so only sine is positive, which means cosine and tan are negative. All right, so sine is already given, 3 over 5. Cosine is a over h, so a 4 over h 5. Tan is over a, so 3 over 4. Sine squared will be 3 squared, which is 9, 5 squared, which is 25. Cosine squared will be 4 squared, which is 16, 5 squared, which is 25. It's going to be positive. Tan squared will be 3 squared, which is 9, 4 squared, which is 16. All right, once you have it out, you just need the double angle formula. So what's the double angle formula? 2 sine x, cosine x. And you're just going to replace your values. So you have 2, what's sine x? 3 over 5. Cosine x, negative 4 over 5. All right, multiply all the numerators. 2 times 3 times negative 4 is going to be negative 24 over 5 times 5 is 25. That's it. All right, repeat that process for cosine of 2x. And you can use any formula. I'm just going to use the first one. So cosine squared minus sine squared. Put in the value, 16 over 25. And 9 over 25 minus 9 over 25. Because the denominators are the same, we can subtract. 16 minus 9 is 7 over 25. All right, tan. All right, again, you can use any formula you want. I just find that the simplest way, because I know that tan is sine over cosine, is to use that. Because I already calculated it. So I know it's sine 2 theta over cosine 2 theta. I know sine of 2 theta is negative 24 over 25. I just calculated that. Divided by cosine of 2 theta, which I know is 7 over 25. Keep the top. Change to multiplication, flip the bottom. The 25's cross out, so I'm just left with negative 24 over 7, and that can't simplify anymore. The listening check, put a box around that answer. All right, I'll do another example that looks maybe a little bit more complicated. I have cosecant. What do I know about cosecant? Cosecant is the reciprocal of what? Sine. So sine is the reciprocal, which is 3 over 7. Still keep the negative. All right, my restriction is between 180 and 270. So go ahead and draw your reference angle closest to the x-axis. We're going to use SOHCAHTOA to label everything else. So we know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite is 3, hypotenuse is 7. We're going to use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing side. We're given the longest. We're going to subtract the longest from the shortest squared. So that's going to give us the square root of 40. Now we're going to use that to label everything else. All students take calculus. So we're in the third quadrant. Only tan is positive. Everything else is negative. So sine and cosine are negative. All right, so let's start with sine. We already have that. Cosine is a over h. Radical 40 over 7. Tan is O over A, 3 over radical 40. Sine squared, 9 over 49. Cosine squared, square the top, square the bottom. So that's going to be 40 over 49. Tan squared, square the top, 9, square the bottom, 40. All right, once I have that, I'm just referencing the double angle formula, which says 2 sine cosine. Cosine says cosine squared minus sine squared, and tan, I'm just going to use the easy way, which is sine 2 theta over cosine 2 theta. All right, so let's put in what we know. 2 times sine x is negative 3 over 7, times cosine x, which is negative radical 40 over 7. Multiply all the numerators, so that's negative is positive, then 2 times 3 is 6, so 6 radical 40 over 7 times 7, which is 49. You have to check if you can simplify that radical, so let's do that on the side. 40 breaks down to 8 times 5, 8 breaks down to 4 times 2, 4 breaks down to 2 times 2, right? Put it all under the radical, and we're going to make our books, right? So we got a book of 2. We're going to put it outside, and we're going to have 2 radical 10. So we have a 6 outside, so we're going to multiply 6 times 2, which is 12. And then now inside we have radical 10 over 49. All right, cosine squared is going to be 40 over 49 minus sine squared is 9 over 49. Because the denominator is the same, we can subtract. That's 31 over 49. All right, so this one we're just going to put our answer for sine 2 theta. We're going to keep, we're going to change, and we're going to flip. That way I don't have to write it out twice, so we'll flip it. 49's cancel, and now we have 12 radical 10 over 31. All right, very last question. All right, here's the situation. It's in quadrant one. What does that mean? In quadrant one, we know all of them are positive, so everything is going to be positive. We're given cosine, so let's use SOHCAHTOA to find the rest of it, and we're looking for tan. All right, so we're going to look for sine, cosine, sine squared, and cosine squared. This is a listening check. Color in SOHCAHTOA. So let's draw a triangle in quadrant one. There's my reference angle closest to the x-axis. We know cosine is a over h, so that's 3 over radical 7. And we're going to use Pythagorean theorem to find the missing one. The longest side minus the shortest side squared is going to give me what I'm looking for. So that's 11 minus 9, which is 2. So a is radical 2. Let's fill it out. Sine is over h, o over h, so radical 2 over radical 11. Cosine is already given, so 3 over radical 11. Sine squared, so we're going to square the top, which is going to be 2, square the bottom is 11. Cosine squared is 9 over 11. All right, so we're looking for tan, which again, the easiest way to find tan is find sine of 2 theta over cosine of 2 theta. So what's sine of 2 theta? Well, that's 2 sine cosine over cosine squared minus sine squared. So I'm just going to correct that in a second. So tan 2 theta is equal to 2 sine, which is radical 2 over radical 11, times cosine, which is 3 over radical 11, divided by cosine squared, which is 9 over 11, minus, this is a listening check, color in example 7, sine squared, which is 2 over 11. All right, let's go ahead and take care of the top. So we're going to multiply the numerators. 2 times 3 is 6, so 6 radical 2 over radical 11 times radical 11 is just 11. Then here we can subtract because the denominator is the same, so that's going to be 7 over 11. Keep the top, change the division to multiplication, flip the bottom. The 11's cross out, and we're left with 6 radical 2 over 7. So tan of 2 theta is 6 radical 2 over 7. Let's practice.